Hi everybody, Nick here at Dogwood Acres Farm. Today we're going to be doing a DIY on a bee stand, a beehive stand specifically to keep ants out, so an ant deterrent stand. Bees don't like ants very much and they can wreak havoc if they get inside your beehive. I had some problems last year myself and decided to investigate a little further on how to keep them out. The stand that I'm going to show you how to build is the result of that experimentation and investigation from other people that I know that are in the bee business, also looking at some internet videos that showed me some good ideas, and together I came up with my own stand and it works really well. I'll also be showing you how to mount your beehive onto your ant deterrent stand after we've finished doing it. Remember, if you like this video, subscribe to my other videos and also press like underneath the comments. So we're going to go ahead and get started now. All the materials that you'll find in this video can be bought at a local hardware store or even the dollar store. So it's actually a pretty economical project. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start by cutting the 4x4, which are the side braces for the hive stand. The 4x4s I'm using here are going to be cut into two same lengths of 21.5 inches. I'm sorry for the poor quality of video. You can't see that on the tape measure, but that's 21.5 inches. Going to be using an old piece of 4x4 that I had around that was pressure treated. I'm using a square here to mark it as well. It's a special square that you can buy at your hardware store. It's really good for marking 4x4s, 2x4s, all the way up to 2x8s. Always remember your safety glasses, very important. You don't want to have any injuries while you're doing this. I'm using a miter saw. You don't have to use a miter saw though. You can use saw or table saw or any type of saw that you want for that matter. It will all cut the same way with the same end result. So now I'm going to go and just cut the other piece as well and fast forward through this section here. Now we're going to be cutting the 2x4. The 2x4 is also going to be pressure treated, and that measurement is going to be 17 inches. So they're for the front and back against the braces. So 17 inches. Again, sorry for the poor quality of the tape measure picture. Now, to speed things up a little bit, if you want to, you can actually cut both of the 2x4s at once. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the other 2x4 here and cut both of these pieces at once. All you have to do is just line up the ends, make sure that it's lined up properly. And then when you slide it in, we're going to lock it in place as well with the brace lock here. But you'll also see that we're going to use the stand has a hand protector, which you'll see me grip and show you with my thumb right here. Always safety first. All right, we're going to move on now to attaching all the pieces together. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to screw the top piece on first. Before you screw into the wood, you don't want to have the wood split. So to prevent that, you're going to take a drill and just drill directly in where you want your screw to go. I'm going to put 2 screws in on each side to start. So we're going to screw there. And we're also going to make sure that it's lined up correctly over here. And then we're going to put 2 more screw holes on this piece as well. This will prevent the wood from cracking. And save you some time having to cut more wood. You don't want to use the wood if it did crack. That'll become unstable. The screws won't actually hold it properly. Now I'm using about a 2.5 inch wood deck screw with a Robertson head. For those of you that may be watching in the States, don't know what that is, we call them square head in Canada. You can go ahead and use any other type of screw that you wish though. It doesn't really matter. Just about 2.5 to 3 inch screw is what you want though. Try not to let that happen. We'll go over here and we'll attach this side as well. Just one screw at a time. Lining it all up nicely. And you can see here, once it's screwed in, there are no cracks on the edge, which is nice. And over here, this is going to be the one that could crack possibly. It did not. So now we can flip it over and do the other side. Again, lining it up nicely. Now, this may be a little more difficult due to the fact that, as you can see by this one, these 4x4s are used and old for me. So they may have twisted a little bit, but don't worry about that right now. Get a couple of screws on the one side first, and then we can adjust the other side and get it to do what we want. Now, I'm not going to show you at this time, this is just building the bases. However, if the honey hives are slightly off balance, don't worry about these being perfect. These stands don't have to be perfect. We can adjust them later, and I'll show you in another part of the video how we're going to adjust them to make sure that they don't have an unbalance to them. Just going to go ahead here, we're going to screw 2 holes here. Now, as I said, this side might be off a little bit, so we can adjust that by simply pushing it into the right position. If your wood's really stubborn, don't worry about it too much. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead now and drill 2 more holes here and here, here and here on both sides and finish that up. Okay, so we finished doing the other side now, all 4, so we've got 4 screws on each of the sides. These will be the bases that the bottom board of the honey hive will sit on. We're going to go ahead and finish now by painting this, and I've got another one which I have already started, and I will show you that. So here's one that we've already started to paint, and we just use, there are special paints that you can buy. For the hive themselves, it's probably a better idea to use the special paint. However, for the base like this, it won't really matter because the bees won't be in direct contact with it. However, as a disclaimer, I'm not saying that it's the only paint that you should use. However, if you want to be safe and make sure that there's no contaminants your bees will come in contact with, there are special paints that you can use. However, I'm just using a regular white paint. Okay, so now that we've completed painting our frame, while the paint is drying, I'm going to explain a little bit about how we attach the legs, or more or less the materials that we need for the legs. I will show you in another part of the video how to actually attach them. So most of these things are pretty inexpensive, and you can come by them fairly cheaply. A steel bowl, which I got at the dollar store, and then some galvanized steel pipe with threaded ends. These are 3/4 by 6 inch for the legs, and you want to make sure that you match up the thread, and these are an end cap, and this is going to be a plate which is going to sit in the bowl. And they all have to be the same. So this is a 3/4, this is a 3/4, and this is a 3/4. If you don't match them up, the threads won't match. So those are the 3 items that you'll need to make the leg, and then the bowl is actually what's going to be part of the defense against the ants. There's one more item that I don't have here, and I'll show you when I actually assemble the legs to the stands. And the reason I didn't include it right now is because they're not actually included as part of a permanent part of the stand. And that would be simply an old yogurt container or plastic container, which we are going to place a solution that will stop the ants from actually climbing up the legs.
I'd mentioned as well earlier in the video that we could adjust the height if we had an uneven wood surface for the frame and it was like off center, kind of like when you go to that annoying restaurant and you sit at the table and you have to stick a matchbook under it. We don't have to get quite that extreme here. So I've opened up a couple of these packages to show you exactly what this will look like. And if we look here, this will fit directly inside that bowl. We're going to drill some holes in a little while, in another part of the video, to show you that. But for sake of just showing you adjustment, we'll say that this is inside the bowl, and we're now going to screw in this part of the leg, and you can see you can get quite a few turns out of it. And same with the end cap. So we can actually turn this and get quite a few turns out of it. Now I'm not going to tighten it completely here because I don't want to have to tighten it and not be able to get it off again. But if we look, we can now take this and turn it a couple of turns here as well as a couple of turns on the leg itself. And then when that is inside on the bottom as a leg, that can be adjusted within the hive or within the stand as well. And that will adjust, very micro adjustments. You don't need a lot of adjustment. I mean, you know, a few millimeters here and there, a half an inch possibly at most. You'll have that type of adjustment though, so that if it was, if we just tighten this all the way down, and say there was a space under here, I'll say about this much. So if we were off keister by that much, it would go up and down. So what we could do is we could actually slide this out, and we could turn it, and also turn the bottom one too, and then adjust it down onto the ground so that we wouldn't have that spacing anymore. And we don't need to put a shim underneath it. This will shim itself. So that's the nice thing about having the two ends being able to adjust with threaded ends. Also the galvanized stands up really well to the weather. I've had some on my other stands now for over a year and they seem to be holding on pretty good. So that is going to be the legs. So you'll need a set of 4 of each of these. Cost-wise for the galvanized, it really depends where you buy it. I got mine at a local hardware store, and I believe the end cap was about $1.20. The actual 6-inch leg, we'll call it, was around $4, and then the plate was around $3. So you're really looking at a cost per leg of about $8, let's say, with the tax. So if you're looking at 8 times 4, it's about $32. So yes, it can be a little bit pricey, but this is a one-time buy, remember? And I guess we have to add in the $1 for the bowl. And you don't have to replace these on a constant basis or anything. And trust me, the defense against the ants and other bugs or anything else that might try and crawl up onto the hive that can't with these in place is well worth the money. It'll be well worth the effort of not having to worry about pesticides or anything else to keep those other creatures out of the hive. So that's that about materials. Next we're going to move on to actually assembling this onto the frame itself.
Okay, so we're going to mark our holes. We're going to take our flange, our plate, and we're going to place it inside this bowl and then mark the holes where we want them. So I'm just going to show you. I'm going to mark, the easiest way to mark them is with usually a Sharpie or some other such marker. I'm going to leave it on a flat ground here so I can do it properly. And you just go and literally just mark the holes. Make sure, of course, you don't move the flange inside, so the holes are in different spots. And now we can see where we've got to drill the 4 holes. You can see that too well. We're then going to use our drill press. I just wanted to show you one other thing first. This is a different flange, and if I line it up on the holes on this flange, I notice that it doesn't line up perfectly necessarily. So you may want to use a different flange for each bowl that you're putting on, and just leave it in the bowl so we know which one goes where, and that way you won't have any problems when you go to screw it in. Alright, so next we're going to drill some holes. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and drill the holes. through the bowl. So I've got a benchtop drill press here that I'm going to use with a little bit shorter bit, a couple of inch. Don't have too long a bit, it'll splay around. Always wear your safety glasses, and if you don't have a benchtop drill, you can always vise this into something and use a hand drill if you want, but always use safety, and only if you're familiar with the equipment. Don't use it if you don't know how to use it. So with this one, we're going to go ahead and just drill some holes. And we can see we've drilled our holes, and there's a little bit of metal shard in there, so just going to throw that in the trash. We don't want that to get into anywhere around the bees or anything else from the ground and cause any problems. So if I take the flange that I had and I just match up the holes, we can see it would now be ready to drill in to the into the wood. So that's I'm going to finish up my other ones, drill holes in all of my containers with the flanges, and then we'll get back to drilling into the wood. Okay, we've got all our bowls drilled, and we have the flanges in place. We placed them onto the 4x4 support. The 2x4 in the end we don't want to drill into. We want to drill into the 4x4 and basically put it right near the edge with enough room though that the screw will go in and hold it nicely. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We have all 4 of them, as you can see, ready to go. We'll do this first one though, and then work on the others afterwards. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and screw those in. A word about screws. I use a 3.5-inch screw, which will go right down to the bottom. The flange will stop it from going all the way through, however, but you do want this to be very secure. Remember, you could be holding up to 1, 2, 300 pounds plus of bees, honey, and hive. So depending on what you use for your supers, you definitely don't want this going anywhere. So don't skimp out on the screws. I would go a full 3.5-inch screw. So I'm going to go ahead and just apply these now. Don't tighten your screws all the way to the bottom until you've got all of them in place. This way you won't have to worry about the flange moving all around on you and everything, and not having it where you want it when you line it up. Now we can go ahead and just tighten them right up. I'll go ahead and do the other ones, and then we'll come back and we'll look at putting on the legs and the caps. Alright, so we've got all 4 of the bowls attached. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and apply the leg to the stand, and to do that we need the 2 other pieces, which were the 6-inch, we'll call it the leg, I guess. It's the pipe with 2 threaded ends, and our end cap, which will go on as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and just put that to where it's basically snug, right about there, and then add the cap on top. Again, just to where it's snug. And that is going to be the first of the 4 legs. We'll go ahead and we'll apply it to all of the 3 other sides, and then we'll look at how to level it. Okay, so we've got all 4 legs on now, and if I was just to place this down, and this concrete floor is nice and level to show you, if I just to place that down on there, we have a little bit of a wobble. We don't want that with our bees, that'll irritate them. There's 2 different ways you can really take care of this, and the reason I built this design is so that you can adjust it with the legs. However, you could also take shims if you wanted to and place it underneath. Don't really recommend that. It's a lot more work and not really necessary with this type of design. So we can see here our corners that are an issue are either this one or this one. So just flip it back up and we'll choose whichever one we want to use. We're going to loosen a little bit. Go ahead like this. And then we'll try it again. It's a little bit less. This time I'm going to take this side now and loosen it a little bit. Now I can do some fine kind of adjusting. And there we go. Nice and sturdy. Alright, one final step. Now that we've got it all adjusted and we've got the height where we want it, there is an extra step that you can do if you want to. I recommend it highly, and that is to basically make sure that the legs don't move again, and start in wind or moving, or even the bees moving around inside the hive. Over time, eventually it may actually cause these to twist or get distorted a little bit from where you had them. So what I've done is I simply took some painter's tape, and this one is not sticking that well. Let's go tighten it up. There we go. So I took some painter's tape and I basically marked on the threads where we want it to screw into. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take some glue, expandable waterproof glue, and apply it to the thread so that it'll actually hold. You could also use thread lock if you wanted to, or anything like that. I'm using an expandable type of glue, and that's the way I like to hold it there. So we're also going to do the same on this side, and I want to remember that this was the top, so I'm going to do it first, or the cap. I'm going to go ahead and apply the glue to that first. So this is the cap side. I'm going to apply the glue to that first. And you don't need a lot of this glue. It's expandable type glue, so it will basically expand to up to 2 times its original size. And then I'm going to reapply the cap and just go to where the tape was marked, right there, and then we apply it also to the bottom thread. And then we just, again, screw that back in to where the tape was. And there we have it. A level and secure ant deterrent stand, which we will now set up our hives on. When we get our new nukes in, I'm going to make another video. I'll show you how to set the stand up and also how to put the nukes into the hive, the way that I was taught by the beekeeper that I learned from. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, subscribe if you like the videos, and like at the bottom as well. And until the next video, thank you for watching.